Greetings, I am Tom Merle. Welcome back to this special series of the celebration called Gifts for You. If you haven't yet, I suggest you go back to the very first episode of this series. Not the entire podcast, just this series. That's the first episode that came out in 2022. It'll tell you all about what this series is about. If you don't feel like doing that, though, don't worry, my friends. You can jump right in here and still have a great time. Now, just as a reminder, while this intro for this episode might sound very similar to last week's, have no worries. This week, we bring you another fresh set of deep, insightful, and meaningful conversations. Today, we're going to dive even deeper into this time capsule that we're opening by listening to another set of conversations that I recorded in 2019, just before my daughter was born. And so without further ado, I'll step aside and I hope you enjoy. Hey, Sadiya.
Hey,
Thank you so much for being a part of this. It really means a lot.
thank you. I'm so happy to be invited.
So the way we're starting out is, could you share your name and what your name means to you?
My name is Sadiya Sassine, and the meaning of Sadiya that my dad told me is that it means lucky or fortunate. And my last name, although my parents are from Haiti, my last name is actually, well, both of my names are Arabic, and my last name has some origin in Lebanon many, many ancestors ago. So I really love my name. And there's lots of alliteration, lots of S's. So
That's awesome. Well, let's start right there. You know, one thing you and baby have in common is, well, at least one side of baby's family, my mom, comes from the African diaspora, although, Nigeria, I guess, is one of the origins, but, that immigrant experience of the African diaspora. So do you mind talking a little bit about anything you want to share about that, how you kept your Haiti pride strong, all that kind of stuff?
oh yes. So I am a Haitian American, meaning for me that means my parents were born in Haiti and then they moved to the United States when they were teenagers, and I grew up in Haiti, in America. And I've always kept close to my Haitian culture by embracing all of the traditions of my family and growing up Catholic, going to church even though I didn't want to. I'm sorry, baby, if you have to go to church when you don't want to, but it's good. Listen to your parents. And eating delicious Haitian food that includes lots of rice and beans and okra and other vegetables, coyote squash or chayote, however you pronounce it, things that people don't eat in America that often, plantains, lots of food. Definitely food is a great way. And just staying in touch with family in general, and making family a priority. And a little bit of the language as well, even though I don't really speak it with anyone, but that's always a nice thing to be in touch with.
What about, though, talk to me about, just being explicit. The white supremacy of our country puts out negative things about Haiti. You know what I mean? Where you and I know that's not true. And I know my child's going to experience that with Nigeria, even though we know that's not true.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk a little bit about how you keep a positive image in your mind and in your heart, with that going on? And I don't know if it's ever happened to you, if people made fun of your food growing up or anything like that, that my baby might experience, that they could kind of listen to your story for, a roadmap.
Oh, okay. Well, yes, definitely people do say negative things about Haiti. And the number one statistic that you'll hear about Haiti as soon as somebody starts talking about it is it's the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere, which I'm sure is true. But I do wish that people knew more about it. The stereotypes that I've encountered like in middle school with my best friend Shaan, and we are now best friends. She was asking me weird questions like, do you practice voodoo? And did I come here on a boat? Like weird things like that, which none of those things apply to my family. But for me, it's something that I think I am a representation of a Haitian American. My families are representations of Haitians being in America, and so I take it as an opportunity for people to get to know Haitian culture just by being who I am, and for my parents just by being who they are, and inviting them to all the fun stuff that I mentioned earlier, like try some of this Haitian food, learn about this Haitian music and this dancing. And did you know that Haiti used to be one of the wealthiest countries in the Western Hemisphere, actually? And it was known for producing lots of sugar. And to this day, they still have the best rum. So there are lots of things to be proud of. And I just take it as an opportunity to like share with people. And, ignorance doesn't usually offend me, depending on the intention. So that's how I navigate.
Thank you, Sadiya.
Sure.
Talk to me about personal development and all the YouTube videos you listen to that are all about self-improvement. I love that. I hope to, instill that in my child. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Oh man, I have a slight YouTube addiction. And I love listening to podcasts. And hey, baby, your dad has a podcast.
If you didn't mention it, I was going to cut this whole thing off.
Yes, and I love listening to Tom's podcast too, which not as much lately because I've been more listening to financial related topics, but it's kind of like I feel like Tom is there with me, keeping me company when I'm getting ready or doing whatever, and then making me laugh at his really corny and out of left field jokes. So that is wonderful. And I just use YouTube as my go-to research for anything. Just over the weekend, Matt and I changed Matt's brake lights on his car by watching YouTube videos so we can like save some money. And I will say I watched a YouTube video today, of course, that was all about like how to learn a new skill. And one of the points that Wheezy Waiter talked about, his name is Wheezy Waiter, that's his channel name, was research, but not too much. And I'm like, oh, I definitely research, like that's like 95% of my learning a skill. And I do tend to like stay in my head, excuse me, rather than actually learn new skills. So I could get a little bit better about that. But I love to listen to people, podcasts, YouTube, and learn about, or like books, old school, and learn about their personal journeys and what they've learned, like how they've grown up in life and become inspired, because people at all different levels and different ages, skill levels, geographic locations, they can do so much. Also TED Talks. I love TED Talks.
Let's talk about courage, because you're a very courageous person.
Thank you.
You set a goal, you set an ambition, and you make it happen. And you've been all over the world. You lived in Ethiopia for 2 years, and you came out here, now you're over there. Talk to me a little bit about courage.
You know what? I'm going back to this YouTube I was watching earlier because someone commented, so the guy was talking about like, why would you learn a new skill? And the first thing he listed was for fun. And I'm like, yeah, duh, obviously, like that's the best one. And I was reading the comments, and one of the people commented like, oh, for fun, isn't that the weakest reason to learn? Because then when it stops being fun, you won't want to keep going, or something like that. And I actually replied to this comment, which I don't usually, but I was like, oh no, actually I disagree. I think when something is fun, that's when you're the most motivated to learn. And that's when you're going to work hard to learn that new skill and keep practicing and keep trying. And so for me, all of these goals that I have, for example, going to the Peace Corps, it's because it sounded really fun, but also fulfilling. So I went to the Peace Corps. That's a dream that I had since I was like 16 years old. And basically, you have to get a college degree, and then you can apply, and it takes a year for them to like make sure nothing is wrong with you, all your medical stuff is in order, and you actually have your degree, and you are like a good person, and they let you go abroad for 2 years. And so to me, that was like a huge adventure, and I really wanted to get the experience of learning another worldview and actually living there, not just being a tourist, but like living in another country that where people think completely differently from me or live a lifestyle completely differently. And so, yeah, that is definitely one of the most courageous things I did, because it's pretty hard to like be away from your family for 2 years, not know a language, go be dropped off in a random location in the middle of the world. But that's where all the great adventures happen, is when you push yourself, go out of your comfort zone, do try and have fun, and also, just trying and be loving towards people. So yeah, Peace Corps was a huge one.
On that last point, the loving towards people, you're a really good friend.
Aw, thanks, Tom.
So you're welcome. What can you, what are my out of left field jokes? I'm also curious about that. Which episode were you listening to?
Oh, I don't remember, but all of them. There's always at least one point in the episode that's like really random. And sometimes the your guest might not catch the joke, but I catch it. I know what's going on.
Because you're a good friend.
Yes.
So what can you tell baby about friendship, about being a good friend? What would you like them to keep in mind?
Aw. Well, you're also a good friend, a great friend, actually. Friendship it's just all about like caring about the other person, caring about their feelings, trying to be supportive, trying to be encouraging for them. Also opening up and letting them care about you and being honest and being vulnerable. Friendship, growing up especially, involves a lot of like spending time with someone, having fun with them, again, back to fun, playing games, even now, even as an adult, like, playing board games, playing video games, like, yeah, I think just trying to like spend time with them, talking to them, sharing about whatever is going on in your day, whether it's problems, whether it's celebrations, and just not forgetting them, like remembering they're there and supporting them. I think that's what friendship is about.
And then this next one is a prompt. So when I finish, because I've been finding prompts confuse people. So when I finish the prompt, then you just answer.
Okay. Is it like a complete the sentence kind of thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
But complete the sentence with multiple sentences or a sentence. Like it doesn't have to be a word.
Oh, okay.
Baby, you can turn to me when you'd like to talk about, if you need.
Baby, you can turn to me when you need to have a safe space, or you feel like you want to calm down or let the stresses go of the day, or just have a place that you can be yourself and be completely comfortable. Or just if you want someone to talk to, you can turn to me.
I appreciate that so much.
Absolutely.
And what is your invitation to baby? What would you like to invite them to do, consider, think about, evolve into? What's your invitation?
Baby, you have some super cool parents. Like, for real, you're going to grow up and you're going to see that I'm right. And I invite you to give them a really hard time, be completely yourself, and completely 100% express who you are, and also drive them nuts because that's what kids are supposed to do. And I invite you to always rely on your parents for anything that you need, and not be afraid to talk to them and learn from them, and to to enjoy your life. And I can't wait to meet you, baby.
I can't wait for y'all to meet each other too. Well, thank you so much, Sadiya. You're the best.
Yay! Thanks, Tom. Thanks for inviting me.
My pleasure.
You're the best.
We're the best.
Yes.
High five! Okay, looking forward to all of us hanging out soon.
Me too.
Peace.
All right, here we go. So, Shaan, my friend, I just want to thank you so much for being a part of this. It means the world to me. Thank you.
Oh, absolutely, Tom. It's good to chat with you today.
So, I'd love for you to introduce yourself to baby by sharing your name, and what does your name mean to you, or what's the story of your name that you'd like to share?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, hi, baby. How are you? It's nice to talk to you from before you enter this world physically. We're excited to have you here. My name is Shaan. It's spelled actually Shaan. And I live in Los Angeles right now. Mostly anytime I tell anyone my name, they almost always, or they almost never spell it correctly, because it's not a very common spelling for the name Shaan. At least here in this part of the world, it's not. But the way that it's spelled Shaan, Shaan, is the Persian spelling, and it actually means pride, or to be proud of who you are. And I got a chance to actually choose my own name. So when I was little, my parents gave me a different name based on who they thought I was. And then when I grew up and I discovered for myself who I was and who I was growing into being, I ended up changing my name. And that's the name that I chose for myself.
That's wonderful. I don't think I've gotten to hear that story either. So I feel very blessed to be a part of getting to hear that.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely thought about it a lot when I was changing my name. So this might be a good time to share a little bit more with baby. What do you think, Tom?
Yeah, why don't you go into it? Let's do it. Thank you.
Okay, sure. So when I was a little kid, everybody thought that I was a little girl, born as a girl. And I knew inside for the longest time, I knew that that did not feel right to me. Inside, I felt like I was a boy. And I didn't know how to explain it to people. So I didn't realize until much later in life, when I was an adult, that actually I was transgender. To me, it's like the embodiment of both energies and the embodiment of both spirits in one. And I knew I was just different from many folks, and that was okay. And that felt actually a blessing to me to be able to experience my life in both of these ways.
Oh, that's powerful. I appreciate you sharing that, Shaan.
Yeah.
I'm sure that living your truth took a lot of courage. And so, in whatever way that shows up in baby's life, where to live their truth takes courage, what would you like to share with them about it? Maybe, what's the reward of going forward, or any advice or anything you'd like to share?
Well, that's such a deep question with so many layers. I mean, courage is something that I believe every single person has within them. But I do think it takes something special to be able to get to it, to be able to access it. It's almost like it's a jar really high up on your shelf, and you can't reach it because you're not tall enough. You've got to find ways to get there, like maybe use a ladder or something, but you know it's there. It's there. You can see it. And so I think of courage as something that is always there, and we have to find a way to get to it, to be able to do the things that we want to do. And not everybody is ready to do that. Not everybody is able to do that. But I think everybody is capable of doing that. And I think anytime I've been scared, I spend time alone. I spend time alone and I get quiet and I really think about what is coming forward, like what's in my heart, like what's going on. I'll have a conversation with myself, and I'll try and understand what's happening. Where are my feelings? What am I feeling about something? And somehow the answer comes. And then it's a question of whether or not what decision I make based on that. And many times it does take courage to do the thing that feels more difficult, but deep down, it's the right thing to do. That's where courage is most necessary, if that makes sense.
I love that. That is especially when it's the right thing to do, to tap into that courage. Yeah. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So I also know you're. Yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no. Go ahead.
I also know that you're somebody who has chosen to pursue your dreams.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk a little bit about, choosing to do that and being bold enough to go for what you want?
Sometimes I think it was easier for me to transition gender than it is to continue to push forward on pursuing my career goals. And it sounds so bananas to say that out loud, but sometimes it does feel that way. So I left my family is all pretty much in North Carolina, and I moved up to California because in California, Los Angeles is where it's the movie capital of the world, where films are made. So it's a town full of creative people and specifically actors. So when I first moved here, I learned how to make movies. I learned how to direct and produce and write. And then it wasn't until maybe 10 years or 15 years into it, somewhere around there, maybe 10 years into it, that I got into acting. So acting is an interesting field because I love actually acting and performing in front of people or for the camera. Like I really enjoy the feeling of becoming a character and getting a chance to express myself creatively in that way. But many actual actors only get to do that about 10% of the time. 90% of the actual job requires something that pushes me in my comfort zone. So there's a lot of networking. There's a lot of meeting other people. There's a lot of selling oneself and marketing. And that's okay to do. It's just a very tricky thing to do when you yourself are the person that you have to constantly, I guess when you have a healthy relationship with it, it becomes more of a natural thing, but at first it can be a little uncomfortable to do. But it's really taught me, I think, like going forward on this path and taking my time, it's taught me to have a healthier relationship with myself, because the more I move forward as an actor in my career, the more visible I become. And the more visible we become, sometimes we feel other people's expectations of who we're supposed to be or how we're supposed to think or how we're supposed to dress or where we're supposed to go. We started thinking about what other people want from us. And I've gotten the chance to go a little bit slower and really pause and think about that, so that no matter if I'm super visible or less visible, I can always stay true to who I am. And sometimes I feel like I want to rush and I want things to happen quickly. And I have all these goals and dreams and things I want to do, but I'm really just appreciating this in-between space, like the time that it takes to get somewhere and the constant getting back to yourself. Does that make sense? Like the constant checking in with yourself to see, am I, no matter what stage I'm at in my career, am I still being true to who I am as a person? Do you know what I mean?
Yes, and I love that. That's amazing. Is there anything that I haven't asked that's on your heart that you want to share with baby?
Yeah, let's see here. Baby, I would love for you to know, which you probably already know, how amazing your mom and dad are. Your parents have built a phenomenal community of people around them, brave, strong, funny, creative people. And I want you to always know that no matter who you are, no matter how you are, you will always be loved and accepted for who you are, even when you have no idea who you are. Even that's okay. Just know that you're coming into this world with a lot of love and support, and that will always be with you. That will always be with you no matter what.
I love that, especially the part about us being good parents. So true.
There you go. You play that when baby is really mad at you. Just say, hey, remember this?
What? Remember what all those people I paid to say said?
Wait a minute, there's pay for this?
only if that line somehow ends up in the interview. So That's great. Well, can I ask you a question? You can choose to keep it or not. But as we talk about, I don't know how your relationship was with your parents, but like, there were moments I got mad at my parents. I would get so mad sometimes, they don't get me, they don't understand me. And, so do you have a personal story that you would want to share for that very moment when baby's feeling like they're the only ones in the world that, they're so frustrated that they know it happens to all of us and we get through it? Anything come to mind? Any particular story? There were definitely lots of times like that. I think that my thoughts are, when that happens, 3 important things are helpful: to have someone who is an adult to talk to that isn't your parents. So I think that's important because your friends, more or less, their job is to always have your back. But a mentor or a parent, our job is not to be your friend. Our job is to be a caring adult, which means we're tasked with sometimes telling you things you don't want to hear. So I think it's helpful to have an adult you can talk to about those kind of things and can empathize with you. And then we hope that we can always have open communication so that you can tell me how mad you are at me and we can work through it. So I think those are the things that I have found when me and my parents really got at it, that when we actually finally sat down and talked about it, that it helped. So that's my ambition for us, that we actually, no matter how mad we get at each other, we both know that the door is always open to finish the conversation and heal whatever wounds that were caused or disagreements were made.
I love it.
That's my
ambition.
It.
That's great. That's great. Awesome.
So on that note, Shaan, this one's the prompt. So baby, you can turn to me if you need to talk about, or if you need to come to someone with, what can baby come to you or talk to you with? What can they come to you for?
baby, I'd like to think I'm pretty good at a lot of things. So I'd say anytime you're feeling conflicted or down or unsure, you can come to me. You can come to me. We can talk about it. We can get there. Let's see. I'm a pretty decent cook. If you want to get me, you can come on over. What else will I teach you? Depending on how old you are, you want to catch? You want to play catch? We can play catch. We can do a lot of fun things together. So, yeah.
I will add on that, baby, that Shaan is the game champion. So Shaan knows how to play a lot of fun games.
That's true. That's true. And I probably won't go easy on you. I get very competitive. So I won't let you win. I feel like your mom and dad might let you win sometimes. Oh, that's a good one. I forgot about that.
So then my last question is, what is your invitation? What would you like to invite baby to think about, to consider, to do? What's your invitation?
Okay. My invitation to you, baby, is to think about how you can help others. And I think it's the one thing that most humans are constantly trying to find is happiness and joy. And one of the secrets to finding happiness and joy is being able to help and give to others. So I invite you to constantly think about how you can give to others, and make sure you're taking care of yourself. Of course, that has to happen first. And I'm sure you're going to be an amazing human being, and that there's going to be a lot to give.
I love that. Thank you so much, Shaan, for joining us. I can't wait for you two to meet each other.
I am so excited, Tom. Congratulations to you and Adora again, man. I can't wait. I can't wait. Due date is end of February, right?
Yep, just around the corner.
That's awesome, man. I would soak in as much sleep as you can from now until then.
That's what I hear.
Nice. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Shaan. I really appreciate it.
You got it, buddy.
All right. Well, you have a good rest of your day, and let me know if you need anything.
All right. Sounds good, Tom. I'll talk to you soon.
I hope you enjoyed the conversations that I'm sharing with you this week. And I hope you return again next week to continue this series, Gifts for You, and continue to receive the insights, the messages, and, if I can use the word again, the gifts that each conversation is ready to share with you. My friends, I thank you for being here with us this week, and I look forward to you returning again next week for the next edition of Gifts for You. As always, I'm wishing you peace and blessings. See you next week. Thank you. One more thing. I'd love to continue the conversation. Feel free to join me at tomearl.com/join. Subscribe below, or let's connect on social media. Tom Earl Artist. Thanks again for watching.